Welcome to Central Georgia Focus. I'm your host, Fredrick Price. Violence isn't cool. Knowledge is. That's the name of a Central Georgia program that has been mentoring young men for about 12 years now. The VIC-KI Foundation Incorporated is preparing for its 12th annual Summer Unity Retreat at Camp John Hope in Fort Valley. It is bringing together teenagers from different Central Georgia cities and different backgrounds for the purpose of developing successful men. Today we learn about the VIC-KI Foundation and how young men can get involved. So our guests today are Charles McGee, he's the founder and CEO of VIC-KI, and Jaden Brown, Macon County high school student and a previous program participant. Thank you so much for being here, gentlemen. Charles, let's start with you. Let's tell us a little bit about yourself and really the purpose behind this program.
Well, actually, when I first, the idea came to my head of starting something like the VIC-KI Foundation originally, and I was telling a friend of mine, I was still at work, I said, well, you know, when I retire, I'm going to start something to try to deal with this problem. And I retired in 2011, and that's when I established the VIC-KI Foundation, focusing mostly on young black males, more so. But we have other things that we, put on that bring males and female, but it's mostly geared towards young black males in particular.
And you mentioned fixing the problem. What exactly is the problem that you all are trying to address and fix?
The problem that I originally started to address and still address is the rate. It seems like when young black men are going down every day, it's like it's the norm. You don't have the uproar, you don't have the protest, but I always thought that hey, a life is a life, no matter how it's taken. And I would be, if something happened to one of my sons, I'd be equally upset regardless of what ethnic group took their life.
So your program is not discriminatory. It's not exclusive for one group.
Oh no.
It's for it's obviously for students who have straight A's, but also students who perhaps have behavioral challenges. Talk to us a little bit about that and why this is kind of an inclusive program that you all have.
Well, it's inclusive because for the retreat, we don't care what their background is, we don't care where they come from, their academic standards, their involvement with juvenile justice. We bring them all because that's really the purpose of the organization, to try to get young men to cooperate, communicate with each other, and show unity among each other. So if that happens, and the VIC-KI Foundation, I know the VIC-KI Foundation can't save the world, but all we trying to do is, add our little input to it to try to make things a little better.
Then how important is it for these young men to really have this safe space, if you will, this space for them to kind of figure out these problems that is happening in the community?
Well, I have always said that the VIC-KI Foundation, we can't save the world, but we put our small piece into the puzzle, because focusing on everyone can see that there is a problem with young black males and their relationships with each other. For some reason, there don't seem to be much love between, the different groups. So what we try to do is bring them together, whatever their background, and try to get them to mesh together with a little peace. Because young people deserve an opportunity to go to a party without worrying about someone pulling a gun and going and shooting. So that's why the involvement of all young people is inclusive with the VIC-KI Foundation, because we're trying to make things better for those who are not involved in the violence.
And the retreat, about how many men would you say are participating per retreat?
Over the years, we probably average about 20 young men.
About 20.
Average. Sometimes more, sometimes less. You really would be surprised how difficult it is sometimes to get young men from communities and give them a chance to go through the retreat.
So Jaden, you were one of the participants in the retreat. Kind of tell us a little about yourself and what grade you're in and how you got involved with this.
My name is Jaden. I'm in the 10th grade. I go to Macon High. I got involved in the retreat camp because he had invited me. He invited me and my friends. We had went to vacation Bible school. He was like telling us information about it. So then me and my friend, we had went home, told our parents about it. We got interested in it, and we had joined it. Yeah.
So let's talk about what this program kind of did for you. You and I were talking a little off camera that you did learn a lot of things in this program. Talk about some of those things you learned and how it helped you.
We had talked about teamwork, and how to get yourself from a bad crowd and get yourself out the violence and out the streets and stuff. Then like try to not like kill like black men. Like I don't know.
Yeah. So it sounds like you learned a lot in the program. Charles, I'm curious, where did you come up with the name for the foundation, this program?
Well, actually, I was at work getting ready to retire. And like I said, I told a friend of mine that I'm going to start this organization to try to deal with the relationship that young black guys seem to have with each other. And I said, I'm going to name it Brother to Brother originally. And I found out that that name was taken. So I said, since the foundation going to deal with, violence, and I just came up with, hey, violence isn't cool. Knowledge is, VIC-KI.
And so this is the 12th year.
12th year.
And 12 years ago, did you envision that it would be what it is today and making the difference that it is in the community?
Yeah, I believe that it would, because it has there's a lot of organizations doing things with especially young males and stuff. Each organization has a part that they play in putting the puzzle together. So I just felt like this could be another thing, to help alleviate that problem. So that's why I started it with the violence more so than anything else.
And so happening on June 30th is the 12th annual Unity Retreat. We're going to talk a little bit more about that coming
That's
up.
the 28th.
The 28th? Okay, so what, I guess, should people expect from this retreat?
Over the years, what we do is we start early on Saturday mornings, and we usually introduce the mentors. I always have male mentors out there to help things, and we give them a little briefing on anger management, conflict resolution, things like that. And then we go off to this. They have an obstacle course called the Gold Program, and they have about 7 or 8 different obstacles, and the young men's got to work together to overcome each one of the obstacles that they have. They got to work together, they got to communicate together, everything that's entwined in the Unity Retreat. They get a taste of it. And after lunch, we normally have young black professional men, financiers, cybersecurity. They give them briefings. And after that, we have scenarios that the NCO Academy at the Air Force gave us, different scenarios, survivor scenarios, all kind of things like that. So we do that. And after that, we normally have a short session on golf. We don't do football, we do golf. And after that, we have a banquet that night.
And this is free for participants?
It's free.
Which I'm sure that probably is something good for a lot of participants.
You would think.
Does it attract more people because it's free?
Well, actually, like I was saying earlier, you'd be surprised how difficult it is sometimes to get men that work in these communities to bring 4 or 5 boys to the retreat. The only requirement is that the person that brings them stay out there with them.
Well, we're going to continue our conversation with this. We need to take a break. When we do return, we'll talk about the Unity Retreat. And if you work with or know any young men ages 11 through 17 who would benefit from experiencing some life lessons on communication, working with other young men to accomplish and overcome obstacles, being exposed to leadership skills, finances, careers, we want you to reach out to Charles McGee. His number is on your screen right now, 478-919-1177. We're back in a moment. Welcome back to Central Georgia Focus. We're talking about the VIC-KI Foundation Incorporated's annual Unity Retreat. We're joined by program founder Charles McGee and Macon County High School student Jaden Brown. So Charles, we were talking about the programs that were related to the retreat. Tell us a little bit more about those programs.
The program as far as the exercises?
Yes.
Like I said before, we start the day out with introduction of the mentors, so they sort of know who's there. And we produce some presentations on anger management, conflict resolution. So once they start the retreat, they already have a small taste of sort of what we're looking for. We're looking for unity, we're looking for communication, and we're looking for leadership skills. And once that's over, we go down and they have something called the Gold Program at Camp John Hope. And all it is they have about 7 or 8 different obstacles that you gotta work together to overcome each one of these obstacles. So therefore you have young men from different counties, different backgrounds, working together to try to solve a problem together. And that's really the focus of those obstacles, to get them teamwork. You gotta help each other. Leadership skills, there's always 1 or 2 that sort of, rise to the top as far as leadership concerned. And communication, we look for the ones that show good communication skills. Matter of fact, we have trophies for the best communicator, the one that showed the most unity, and the one that had the most leadership skills. And once we finish with those, we're off to lunch. After lunch, then I have always, through the years, have had young male speakers, speaking to them about how they got started, the profession that they're in. And I try to get unique, skills that you very seldom see a lot of African Americans in, like cybersecurity. We shy away from things like that. IT, we don't get involved in that. Become doctors, lawyers, because I found that I have spoken to hundreds and hundreds of students in classrooms, and inevitably, whenever I ask the group, I start going through each one, asking them what would they like to do when they graduate from high school, go to college, what you want to be, and it has never failed that the young black guys want to play football. Mm-hmm. It's as if football is the only means to get out of the situation that you're in if you want to improve yourself. So that's why after that, we have scenarios that was given to me from the NCO Leadership Academy. And they got to work together as teams to try to resolve some of the things the obstacles that's before them. Like survival. If you have a boat and the boat capsized, what would you try to retrieve more and prioritize what you would try to receive? Things like that. And after that, like I was telling you, we do a short golfing lesson. We try to explain to them the difference between golf and football momentarily, because I don't think a lot of them understand that football is not the only outlet for young black males. And plus, it creates aggression. Mm-hmm. And I visit football camps. And only 90% of the people out there are young black males, learning to hit each other, tear each other up, and all of that. And personally, it's just my opinion, I think the money that professional athletes spends on football camps, I think they should start a stipend to different companies and let those companies hire young males during the summer, teach them entrepreneurship, teach them about how to make your own money, initiative, instead of going out there getting their head cracked playing football when everyone knows that they only got less than a 5% chance of making it to the NFL. So why would you pursue something that you only got a 5% chance of becoming a professional at? Nothing wrong with football. I'm just saying it seems like an over-influx of one group.
Yeah, certainly is a small margin. Jaden, when you were participating in the retreat, kind of take me back to the best of your memory from the first day to the last day. You mentioned some of the exercises and the scenarios that I'm sure you went through. What did that look like for you? What are some of the things that you did as you went through this retreat?
It was fun.
Mm-hmm.
We had played the game where we tossed the ball. You toss the ball, you gotta say your name. Then you toss the ball. You toss the ball. Then you say somebody's name. They gotta catch it. So then that was winning the game. They played a game called Fire Dragon, Water. They like rock, paper, scissors, shoot. So then after that, we did like this little board thing when you gotta try to balance everybody on the board so it won't tip over. Then like after that, we went in the building. Then the mentor had came and taught us and how their life was and stuff. And that was it for me.
So that first ball game that you mentioned, what did you learn from that I guess kind of helped you develop a life skill and developing unity?
I mean, I gotta it teach me who I'm working with, and like who I'm working with, and who I could trust with the ball and stuff.
And so you heard from mentors too that were a lot older than you. And what was that like to, see some successful black men come back and talk to people your age to give you guys advice on how to navigate through life and be together?
I mean, it really influenced me because it teaches us black men to like stay out the streets and stuff. Because when he told us he was in jail for a long time, jail for 5 minutes, he made a 5-minute life mistake. Then he had made him messed up his whole life. Then when he got out, when he was in jail, he had to realize what he went through. Then when he got out, he had started like being an influencer for little kids.
And as a young black man in society, I mean, we see it all the time. You see it in school. I saw it in school. You saw it in school.
Yeah.
When you hear these stories, how does that influence you to do the right thing?
Don't hang around with the wrong crowd, like the folk that'll get you in trouble, like the streets and stuff. Yeah.
So Charles, clearly the mentor part of this is a big part because you
Yes,
have people like Jaden who found what they were saying very influential. I mean, that was kind of the goal here since you've been doing this for 12 years. Talk about some of the mentors that you've had in the past and really the difference that perhaps they have made in some of these young men's lives.
Well, I can think of a couple of them. One of them is a young man. He managed about 5 or 6 Waffle Houses. He's a very young black guy. And he's responsible for, I think, 5 or 6 different franchises. And we had a young man who's worked cybersecurity for Fulton County. We've had doctors. We've had attorneys. And I bring those people in so those guys can see that, as I said before, there's more careers than sports. Everyone has a gift. Everyone can't be a professional because everyone don't have that gift. Everyone can't be a doctor, but the people that have the skills can become a doctor. Everyone don't have the skills to be an attorney, but some do. So we need to pursue, and that's my belief, that we should pursue that gift that we have. Don't try to make a football player out of someone who could be a doctor. If that's not that's not the gift that he has. His gift is biology, math, science, the atmosphere. So that's what I try to push at the retreat, that, we can get along with each other. We got to get along with each other because we got to work together. We got to support each other. And you bring young men in who shows that has been done. Look at me, everyone, what young men I have found don't realize? That a doctor can live the same lifestyle as an NFL player. So what the point if that's not you? Why put 80% of your time into something that you have a 20% chance of becoming a professional at? That don't even make sense.
All right, well, thank you, Charles. Yeah, it sounds like something you're very passionate about. But that is true. I mean, we hear it all the time. Go to the NFL, do something like that. But you mentioned it's a small margin. So we're going to continue our conversation. We've got to take another break. Look at your screen. If you work with or know any young man ages 11 through 17 who would benefit from experiencing some life lessons on communication, working with other young men to accomplish and overcome obstacles, be exposed to leadership skills, finance, careers, etc., and gain overall life lessons from professional black men, reach out to Charles McGee. His number again is on your screen, 478-919-1177. We're back in a moment. Welcome back. As we are celebrating Father's Day this week and the men who make a difference in young lives, Charles, I'm curious, what's your message to all the men in the community that are really making an impact to the youth?
That are really making an impact?
Yes, sir.
My message to them would be, keep doing what you're doing because there's not a whole lot of it. And I'm also, feel like, we help young people, but the problem is we put 80% of our time into young people who only need 20% of our help. Young people who have two parents or a strong mom or a strong dad, you know, they don't need as much attention as the one that are causing the problem. But we only want to put 20% of our time into those. And so it's an imbalance, because I think with the right mentor, with the right organization, we could turn this whatever it is that's going on between young black males, we could turn it around. We just need more males out there. And there are a lot of them that's doing it. You know, I give those credit. But for the most part, it's not a big influence of black males who want to work with young men. I work with the juvenile justice department. They would have young men come in, and I was just for me to talk to them, try to figure out, you know, where they coming from. And I did this for at least 2 or 3 years. So there's a need out there. You know, it's just some people don't look for the need. If the need happens, it happens, but I'm not going to look for it. So we're not proactive when it comes to dealing with young black males, because no one want to deal with them because, you know, they got problems, they got behavior problems, they got anger problems. So that's your job, to try to turn that around. Because it's not a challenge. To me, it's not a challenge to get an A student, put an A student in a program and say, look what progress they made. That's not progress. He was an A student. Get a D student, work with him, and turn his thing around. To me, that's really putting effort in to change the problem.
And all it can take is one conversation for
That's
somebody
all.
to change their life around.
Yeah.
Jaden, I imagine you've had a lot of influential men in your life, and one day, believe it or not, you're going to be a role model. Who are some of the men that kind of influenced you to do great things in life?
My dad and my papa. Yeah.
How did they instill those good values in you?
They encourage me like to do good things, don't make bad choices and stuff. My papa, he get on to me about my schoolwork and stuff. My dad too, and my grandma, she helped me too, and my mama. Everybody, they help me, like they want me to stay out of the way, be with good people, don't hang with bad people, make good grades in school, make it out of school and stuff.
And believe it or not, you're going to thank them one day when you get older for that.
Oh, yeah.
What would be your message to some young men that are watching this right now? You're a role model to them. They see that you're doing great things in life. What would you like to say to them?
Stay out the streets, don't hang with like the wrong crowd, and like whatever you put your mind to, like whatever you want to be in your life, just put your mind to it. Like just put your mind to it. Like if you want to be a doctor, put your mind what you want to be a doctor and stuff.
Good advice. Charles, what do you need from community leaders to help with your effort of making a difference in young men's lives like Jaden's?
Well, main thing is just getting the young men to come to the retreat. Because we have up to 25 slots. We can take up to 25. And like I was telling you earlier, you wouldn't believe how difficult it is to put on something like this and not have the young men show up when it's free. And you're getting advice from young men who have succeeded. So what better formula? So why would you deny a young person who you know could possibly use something like this and not get them to the retreat? I can't understand it myself.
We got a few seconds left. Well, what you're looking at your screen is the information for the Unity Retreat. Can you kind of quickly give us a recap of what's going on and what people can expect, Charles?
For the Unity Retreat, we bring young men in, and our focus is on leadership, communication, and unity. When those young men complete that one day, hopefully they take a seed back and plant that seed, and it started to sprout up.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Charles and Jaden, for this conversation. Very insightful. And thank you for being here with us. We're back next time. Have a good one.